Hi guys, what are we gonna do today? We're gonna make this cute little box lantern. Isn't this fun? But you could make it look 1,000 different ways depending on the color you painted it and the type of paper used inside and what type of base you use. But you put a bright battery light inside and it really shines out. It would be fun for anything. Let's get started. Okay, so what we're gonna need to do this project is a box. And this is a 4x4 box. And I have a sheet of vellum. And I'm gonna use some scraps of my decoupage paper. You can use any type of decoupage paper you would like or tissue paper, but I thought this one would be really fun to put into this box. You'll need some paint, and if you want a base, just some sort of a base. So the first thing we're gonna do is cut my holes out of the box. So I have my template here, and I am just going to draw this on here. And it is a 3x3 inch square on the inside of this box. So you can use your template, or you could just take a square and eyeball it. Either way is fine. So the next thing I'm gonna do is cut, and you're gonna be cutting through 2 layers. So you can just use a regular X-Acto knife, and be careful, you can use a blade on the side of it to make sure you don't go crooked. So if you're doing a different size lantern, you can use any box you want, and then you can decide how big you want your window to be. So, and if you need to, use a straight edge. So if you wanted to, you could even just cut a hole in the center and then use scissors to cut it out. Since this box folds up, you're gonna have 2 layers here that you're working on. So I'm gonna put the box together, the bottom's put together, and then here's the top. I'm gonna bring this flap down, and you can see that we see this right here. So I'm just gonna lightly mark it and cut it just a little bit shorter because I don't want that to show. So I do want some sort of a lip there to keep the box closed, but I don't want it hanging off. So I'm just gonna cut this off. We'll check, make sure you don't see it. Now we're going to paint this box up. So I'm just using just a cream colored paint, and I'm gonna add some salt wash. You don't need to, I just wanted to add a fun texture to this. And you could add as much or as little as you want. Mine probably isn't quite as thick as some that I have seen. And I'm just gonna coat this box. So even where you cut the edges, if they're not completely perfect, you're not gonna notice if you have this textured look on it. So what I'm gonna do is just clean out if I have any big blobs in the inside, because I'm gonna be gluing my paper in here. Paint this stand too. I'm gonna let these guys dry and see if I need another coat on here. So I put my pieces aside to dry, and I'm gonna start working on the window images. So with this piece of vellum, I'm gonna cut 4 squares. I know my walls are 4x4, and I want them just a tiny, tiny bit smaller than that. I mean, just a tiny bit. So just figure just a little less than 4x4 and cut 4 sheets out of your vellum. So I have my vellum pieces cut. I'm just gonna put them aside, and I'm taking my template. And the reason I'm doing that is I am just looking to see what parts of this paper I want to cut out. I'm gonna cut out the size of this template, and it's gonna just overlap this just a tiny bit, but then at least it gives you a little wiggle room on here. I am just going to, with a pencil or a pen, you can just mark it so you can cut it out. Just the outside edge. But at least when you have this window cut out, you can see what you're getting. And I don't have to be exact on cutting these out because I can trim them later. what I'm gonna do, decoupage this vellum to the back of this piece right here. And I'm just gonna use a decoupage glue. You can use any type of glue that you would like. I'm putting it on here because this tissue paper is very, very thin. And I'm gonna need to have a little stability for it. And the vellum is great because it's very sheer and your light will show through. You could just use vellum and nothing else and not even put a paper over it. Just very carefully with a credit card or something smooth, very lightly, you can smooth it out. Even if I'm not exact, by the time I trim it, I have enough of a border there that you're gonna be fine. And what actually shows through the window is just a 3x3 square. I'm just gonna trim these. I'm trimming the paper off of the edges. The vellum I wanna leave. The vellum is actually just smaller than the 4x4 square. And that is gonna fit in the sides of the box. So I'm using this gray distressing ink. You could actually do a wash. You could do a lot of different things. I just wanted to do this, and then I'm going to put a sealer over it. So my thought was the salt wash is giving it a little texture so it doesn't necessarily look like a cardboard box. And I'm gonna do the same thing on here. And then I'm just gonna put a clear wax. If you wanted a more dramatic look, you could add a dark wax over the clear wax, but I would definitely put the clear wax on first. I'm not putting wax right here because I'm gonna be hot gluing that on and it's not gonna wanna stick very well. So I'm just going to open my box up carefully, and while you're painting and stuff, you might want to open it just to make sure you don't paint it shut. Find a glue you like. You could use a tacky glue. You could use a glue stick. If you're really careful, you could use hot glue. And make sure this is facing the correct way. I'll lay him in here and press down the edges. Since I made it just a tad bit smaller than 4x4, I know it'll fit in here. And let's do the other two sides. I just put the hot glue around the top edge of it and I made a little X, just corner to corner, so I knew where I was at, and then just put this kind of over the center, carefully. Open your box and you can put your hand in there to hold that and hold that for a few moments. Okay guys, now we're done. So you saw how I used just a scrap of my tissue paper, and actually we had used it on this bushel basket and I had some scraps left, and that's what I used for the windows of this. But these are two a little bit different styles depending on the color you wanted to paint it or the tissue you wanted to use inside. We also have just a real mini kit for these on our online shop, and really all it comes with is the 4x4 box and a piece of vellum. You know, you can use whatever tissue paper, you can use whatever paint, and you can use whatever stand you would like. So we have those there, but I hope you guys try this project, and whether you use a big box or a small box or come up with your own idea, I'd love to see what you do, and thanks for watching.